Alright, so I thought we'd create some stamped tissue paper today, similar to this. This is done with black, but I'm going to use VersaFine Clair Acorn and my archival ink in sepia. There'll be a slight difference in colour, but I don't mind that. You can use this tissue to add a layer in your mixed media over textured backgrounds, because it'll go into the lumps and bumps of the texture rather than the stamp. If you stamp onto a textured background, it'll miss. You can just tear it, it tears quite easily, or you can add a wet paintbrush and then it feathers the edge. I don't recommend cutting it because you get a straight edge and then it's not nice. It's a definite line, whereas if you tear it, you get an uneven line, an uneven tear, which is a lot better. I'm using mostly Tracy Evans stamps today for All and Create. She does some fantastic stamps for All and Create. This one lives on my desk all the time because I absolutely love it. It's the number 350 splattered numbers. I'm going to make this sort of the main feature of my tissue this time, but I've also got some of her other background stamps from her not latest release, the one before, which this is a nice one with postcard. It's number 399 framework elements, and then there's some sewing pattern and one with numbers. There's also one 439 which is sewing kit, and I love this button. I like everything else, but I particularly like that button because I have an affinity with circles. And the last one that I may use quite a bit is number 34, and this is this lovely circular pattern. So I've already done the black tissue, so there may be some black ink left on my stamps, but I don't mind if it mixes in with the acorn and everything else. It'll just make for a slightly different colour, and I really like that. I'm using the Dina Wakley media collage paper, which is 20 sheets, 7.5 by 10. I actually bought this off Tracy because she was having a declutter, so I thought, I could do something with that. And so we'll get started. I'm going to do the stamp that I sort of want as the main feature first, which is the splattered numbers. I've put the tissue, a sheet of the tissue, as you can see, onto some white paper on my glass mat, because if I'd had it just on my glass mat you wouldn't be able to see properly. So, but it also makes it so I can see a little bit better. So I'm just going to ink my stamps up. They've been used quite a lot already, so they are primed and ready to go. And the VersaFine Clair and the archival ink, when they are dry, they are permanent and they won't move when you decoupage the tissue onto anything. That's a rather juicy ink pad. I'm just going to get rid of the ink that's on the stamping block so I don't get it everywhere. Alright, so I think we'll go there first. Now, I would like a perfect image. If I don't get a perfect image, I don't stress, because I can fill gaps in, as you will see later. So that's the first one. I absolutely love this stamp set. And then I'm going to go, and then I move my tissue up a little bit, and it does go through onto the background a little bit, sideways on there. No, I don't think I'll get a third, but we'll have a go. See if we can get a second impression. Yes, we do, and it's paler, which is quite nice. Yeah, that dries quite quickly. So I'm going to leave that one aside for now, and I'm going to fill in some of my gaps with some of my other stamps. Let's move the button out of the way. And I'm going to go in with this one, which is a row of circles, which I rather like. As I say, I have an affinity with circles. It makes it easier to move your tissue around as well if it's on a sheet of printer paper. You can drag it to where you want. And I think I'm going to go just in there. Yeah. I'm using quite bold stamps because I think they work better. I think they work a lot better than just having sort of little itty bitty bits. I'm going to go across there. Don't be afraid to go off the page with your stamps like I did here. That's absolutely fine. So I'll set that one aside. I don't think I need any more of those circles. Let's see, I think I'll have the one with the postcard next. As I say, it's a very, very juicy ink pad, is this, my Versafine Clair Acorn. It hasn't been used a lot. So I think I'll go in here. And I do realise that I've got gaps, and I'm fine with that because I'll fill them in later. You'll see how I fill the gaps in. So that's going that way, so we'll have it going this way. And if you've got any sort of areas like this where you think that'll just sit in there, then go for it. And I'm not particularly going the same way all the time, because then I can have this paper any which way I want. And sometimes you'll get little bits which will overlap. You'll go into the next area. That's fine. Don't worry about that at all. Alright, so I think we've got enough of that one. I'll pop that one aside for now. With hindsight, I don't think I would have done the second generation stamping in this corner, but I could always go over it again and see if I can fill it in, which I think I'll do. So it's going to annoy me a little. See if I can match it up. If I can't, it doesn't matter. That's fine. It hasn't matched up perfectly, but that's fine, it doesn't matter. That's it. Right, that side. What have we got now? Well, this one's a not as bold a stamp, and it's like a sewing pattern, but it's quite nice as a filler. And I've sort of got a circles theme, things that are in circles and ovals in all the stamps that I'm using, and this has also got a circle. So I'm going to go almost overlapping there, so it looks as if it joins on. And we'll go this way round this time, I think. Yep. The next one I've got is another one off our background stamps. And this hasn't got any circles, but it has numbers, which are quite nice, which is a number and a circle sort of theme. I think I'll go up the top here. You can keep turning your paper round so that you can get to the areas you want to fill in. There. And we'll go again. That'll fill that side in. It's very juicy, is this ink pad. And then I think we'll go, this will just about fit in there, I think, quite nicely. So we've got a fair bit filled in. We've just got a few little areas. So what I can do, and this is where you get very, very messy, is take your stamp off your block, which I know will be scary to some people, and ink it up and then just go randomly in areas where you want it to fill in. And it doesn't matter if it isn't always perfect, because you can blend it in to the next area. I've got a fair bit of this filled in. What I'll do is I'll turn over the paper and then you can see a bit better. There we are, you can see better now. I'm going to add some of these buttons because they're circular again. And I like the button stamp. Let's see. Now I'm going to have to go away from Tracy's stamps because I haven't got anything. So I did another row of the circles. I might do, that would just, no. I think what we'll do is, I'm just going to have to go away from Tracy's stamps a moment because what I want is a bit of a line one. These circular stamp looks great with buttons stamped on the top. So I've got a little group of buttons here, got another group there, and some scattered about. I think I'll have a half a button on here. Yeah, that's a half a one. So you can see it's coming together quite nicely. But I'm just going to add a few little marks like this. Just randomly. This is an indigo blue stamp, by the way. And just where I've got gaps, I'm just going to fill it with little bits like that. Alright. And then the next thing I love to do is to get my ink pad and some of my mark making materials. This is the middle out of a till roll. And I can just fill in areas that need a bit of something. It's the most difficult stuff to get hold of. Right. Got a big area here. So I have, this is the top from one of the rolls that the collage paper came in when I bought some Tim Holtz collage paper. This one is the knob of one of my old kitchen units. So I'm just going to press it into the ink pad. And that's quite nice as a round, definite. And if you want a little bit of something quite bold, you can just do it with something solid like that. This is a golf tee out of a Christmas cracker. And that makes quite nice marks. Let's see, what else have we got sculling about? This is obviously a screw. It's quite nice to group things together. And it gives a sense of continuity. And you can add marks into the centre of other marks, like that. And I think that's done. I think we are about covered. So, VersaCline Fine Clay does dry quicker than VersaFine, but it still takes a little while. So what I'll do is I'll show you it, the finished paper, on some white. And I'll just give it a blast with my heat gun so that you can, so that it sets it. But I'll just show you it. There we are, finished. So that will be rather nice when it's collaged onto work. I'll do a tag and then I'll show you a finished tag at the end of the video. Alright, so we're back and I've got my sheet of black tissue that I stamped to set off with. This is the brown one that I did on the video. I've previously done a black one. Same method and everything. This is done out with archival ink because my VersaFine Clay black ink pad is about dry. So I did that with, as I say, the archival ink. I've gathered up a couple of my postcards. This one has got a really, really textured surface to it. You can probably hear. It's got gesso, flaky texture paste, acrylic paint. I think it's possibly got some of the bead texture paste. All sorts on there. It's got a little bit of metallic, a bit of a dark blue, all sorts of things. And there's a little bit of gilding wax, which might stop the paper sticking. But I'm going to use matte medium, so I think it'll be better. I've just got this scrap of the black tissue, which when I was tearing it just happened to come off that scrap. I think I'll have another couple of random scraps to go on as well. Maybe there. And let's see, which other bit shall we have? I'll have another little bit. Maybe do something there. We'll see. Anyway, we've got 3 or 4 scraps to play with. And I've still got this chunk left, and I've got a couple of strips which I think I'm going to put on this jelly print as well to make it a bit more interesting. So as I say, I've got my matte medium, decoupage matte medium. I've got a fairly big brush because all my brushes are in the wash at the moment. They just want cleaning. So I'm putting a reasonable layer of matte medium and working it into the texture so that it does actually stick everything. Get my first scrap, and I think it's got a straight edge, so I'll go with the straight edge there and just work it so that it goes in between the texture. That's that piece. We'll have another little bit up here. And I usually, if I've put matte medium on one area of the postcard, I put it everywhere, and then it has an equal sheen everywhere. Let's see, I think we'll go here. Whoops, sorry about that. Very noisy. And again, work it into the texture so that it sticks really well. Another little bit in the middle, I think. Being quite generous with the matte medium, because once it's on, you can't lift it off to sort of think, oh, I need a bit more gel medium under, matte medium under there, because once it's on, it's on. So that adds a bit of interest to that background. It's still just a background, but it's got a little bit more interest than it had. Just make sure that's stuck at that edge. The edges that are, if anywhere is going to come off, it will be an edge. I sometimes just give it a rub with my finger as well, because sometimes you can feel if there's bits that aren't stuck. That bit isn't. I must have missed that a little bit with the matte medium. That's it. There we are. So that's the first one. Set that aside to dry a little bit. And I've got these two scraps that I thought I would put on here. Oh, this has got Inspire, so I don't want to cover that up or have that the wrong way up. So I think if I actually have the postcard that way up, that will go on there nicely. Same again. Plenty of matte medium. I've just got a blob there. And then just turn it this way around so I can see better. There we are. Yeah, that's it. And I think I would like some more tissue at the other side. Just make sure that's in and on well. And then I think we'll have some at this side as well. Put that on there. And make sure it's well stuck down again. There we are. I'll let that dry and then I'll cut off the excess as I will with the other one. You can stick this tissue to three-dimensional objects, anything you want. I think I'm going to put this onto a journal page, which I have, which I'll show you. That one. Just wipe that matte medium off the back. Doesn't stick to the back. And I think I'll just pop a piece of paper underneath just so that it doesn't go under the next page down. So we've got this one, and because it's got a brown background, I think I'm going to use some of this. Just wondering if I should go that way. That's quite nice that way. And I think I'm going to go crossways. And then back again. As I say, you can do this by wetting it, but I quite like ripping it. I feel I have a little bit more control. There we are, that's one bit. So I think I'm going to go here, and hopefully the background will show through a little. And I'll probably do some green stamping or colouring on the top. Again, matte medium. My brushes are getting ancient, they're losing their paint off the handles. Added texture. Right. Just make sure I've got plenty on the edges. And then going up to the top. And over the top, make sure it's well stuck down. Don't actually think I've gone as far as that with my matte medium. Might have done. No, I haven't. Make sure there's some underneath it. So you see that the background still shows through nicely, so that it doesn't cover the background you've got. It's fairly translucent, and then when it's dry it should look nice, and I can continue with that journal page. I'll let it dry and then I'll just cut that little bit off. So I don't think I've got... Sometimes I actually like wrinkles in things because it adds a bit more texture. This one I hopefully won't have many, but I can always work with them if it does. Right, so I've done a little bit more work on the various bits and pieces, the two postcards and the journal page. This postcard, I've just used my Inktense pencils to colour the buttons and a couple of the circular elements on the tissue on this side and on that side. Once this is completed, because that's water soluble, I will seal it, because when it goes through the post it may get wet. It's got a little bit of a sewing theme, just move that out of the way. So I thought I would add this girl. She's from a 1950s, 60s sewing pattern. This is some Tim Holtz or similar ephemera. So there's this one, and there's another one, which I'm going to just pop on there. So that's adding a bit of colour, but you can still see the tissue, but you can still see the nice background that I created on the jelly plate. So that's one. This one is quite a busy background. It's got the tissue paper on it, but it's also got an awful lot of texture. And I wanted just something very, very simple to go on there. So I found this little card that I got in some Happy Mail from somebody. Fortunately, I can't remember who. So I'm just going to pop that on. This is from, let's see, Big Chat, Tim Holtz Ideology Big Chat stickers. And I've just added a bit of colour to it, a bit of black and brown, just so it isn't so stark white. And I just think that is, for Happy Mail, a postcard, that's enough, because we've got a busy background. The journal page, let me just pop her over there, out of the way a bit more. The journal page is quite busy again with all this tissue, but I found a few elements that I thought might go on it. As you can see, again, I've coloured in some elements, and I've used the eyes ink pigments, Seth Apter. This one was, I watered down a little bit to get the green, turquoisey green. And then the other one is an eyes ink pigment ink, Bamboo. That isn't in a Seth Apter one, but it's just as good. And I've coloured some areas, and then I've also splashed some of the two colours onto my background. I think I'm going to possibly put that there. I'll put this little sticker down there because I quite liked that. I found this, which is Who Am I? And Inspire and Creative Soul went together, so I'm going to pop that at the top. I love paper dolls, and to set off with I was just going to have this girl stood on there, but then I also found this flower, which I know is out of scale, but I quite like things out of scale sometimes if they work, and I think that one does, because that draws your eye across. I might add a little bit more of the brighter green just to there, just so that it ties up a little bit more. I'll see. I think maybe it might be okay, but it brings in this gold and it ties in with this up here. So I'm going to finish the journal page like that, which I think will work well. So I'll pop pictures on once I've got them all stuck together and finished, and then you can see the finished projects. So these are the finished items. There's our journal page with our tissue at this side, our postcard with the vintage sewing theme. I've glued all the things on and then gone round with a pencil and smudged it out, and our happy memories. So I hope you like those and give it a go.